let me show you a way for white to win quickly and spectacularly. You open the game with the king's pawn to e4, and when they play pawn to e5, we can get into all of the tricks I will teach you. You play bishop to c4, attacking f7. And there's going to be a lot of variations and details in this video. But the most important thing is that you will watch out for this bishop and f7, which is only defended by the king. And in many cases, you can come in here and sacrifice the bishop for devastating effect. The first thing we will look at is if they reply symmetrically with bishop to c5. If you see this move, you should be very happy because you already have a bunch of tricks you can throw at them. The first thing is that you start with pawn to d4. This could look like a bad move because it's defended twice this square and it's only defended once by you. But it can go very sour for black very quickly. Let's look at the main moves black can play. Let's say that they play pawn takes pawn, thinking that, oh, this is no problem at all. I have this defended. The queen can't come in and take. Well, are you ready for a big surprise? Always look. Can I sacrifice the bishop on f7? And yes, now we can. Takes. Bishop takes f7, check. Of course, the king can go somewhere else, where black will have lost a pawn and can no longer castle, and you will have just an absolutely great position. So the critical move to look at, of course, is king takes bishop. And every time we sacrifice the bishop like this, we don't do it willy-nilly, you know. We do it for good reason. And we always have a follow-up, otherwise we don't do it. In this case, the follow-up is queen check. Queen h5 check. Black can block the check, but what happens? Queen takes bishop, and now you're up. Not technically up a bishop because actually we just traded material, but black's king is in a very precarious position, and you are attacking this pawn, which would allow you to come in and capture the rook. And here, according to the databases, at below master level, the most played move is knight to c6, defending the pawn. You're very happy to see this. You simply play knight to f3, attacking the pawn once more. And here, the most played move, what you'll see the most times, is the very logical on the surface level pawn to d6, attacking the queen and also unleashing the bishop. But it is going to go, from bad. This position is bad, but it's going to go from bad to worse. Here you throw the check, and you allow your opponent will probably look at you like, "What are you doing? I played d6 so that I could play this bishop here. You're losing time with the queen. You have to move the queen again. Where are you even going?" And now you just come in with the full force of this opening. You play knight g5 check, checking the king, but also looking at the bishop. And in fact, the best move for black here is to sacrifice the queen, capture it like this, where you just capture with your own queen, and now you're up a bunch of what we call material. Queen worth 9 points, knight worth 3 points, you are 6 points up. That's the best move, but they're not going to play that. They're going to try to and you're still winning there, but they're going to try to survive some other way. And now let me just show you the different ways it can go very bad for black very quickly. If you go here, king e7, simply queen check. There's only one legal move here, and checkmate, back it up by the knight. Okay, so that doesn't work. Let me just show you a couple of examples here. Let's say here, still check, and now there's only one legal move because you can't capture the knight. You know, this bishop here, the sniper bishop. Don't ever forget the sniper bishop. There's only one legal move. It's to go here, check. Only one legal move. Now ready for the sniper bishop. Here. That's check, not from the knight, but you're discovering from this sniper bishop. Okay, so they can either play this or they can play this. If they try to escape with the king here, check, you go back with the queen. And now you can see king can't get back, so here, and quite simply, queen here is actually checkmate. And just to, you know, if after this move here, check, if they try to block the check with this, all you have to do is play this pawn h2 to h4, and no matter what black does, it will be checkmate. There's no way to stop it. So basically, black has no moves. The king can't move, queen is taking away all the squares. This pawn can't move or capture here or anything because of this bishop, we'd lose the king. If you try something like, I don't know, this, then pawn takes here is simply checkmate, check from the rook, also check from the pawn, pawn is protected, there's no way to go. So that is the first variation that I'm going to show you. And there are many ways like this to just absolutely obliterate your opponent with this opening. Okay, so a little cross to solve magic, and we are at the starting position once more. So let's take a look at another variation. You play e4, e5, you bring out the bishop, why? Taking f7, they bring out the bishop, and what do you play here? Can you remember? Pawn to d4. We saw if they take here, they're going to lose, you're going to destroy them. Sacrifice the bishop, come in with the queen, all those beautiful variations. But what if they take with the bishop? What then can you do? Well, the first thing is you bring out the knight. Bring out your knight, attacking the bishop. And if you're simply threatening to capture, and be ahead in what we call development, meaning you have more pieces out. And if your opponent tries to solidify the bishop with a move like this, what do you play? Just play c3. The bishop has nowhere to go. They're going to lose a bishop. Probably they have to capture here. You capture with the king, and you have gotten a bishop for a pawn. It's a nice position. Bishop from 2 pawns, you could argue. And but you know, the move that you will always see is knight to c6, defending the bishop. And you're still trying to find a good way to sacrifice here. This bishop is very strong, and you want to lure this knight to this square instead, where it can be subject to attack. So if you see this variation, which is very, very common, you just take the knight, capture the bishop, and they recapture with the knight. You play a very patient move. Now you're not sacrificing immediately. You just castle your king. Like this. Because exactly what is black going to play here? Let's say they play the move that you will see the most often. Knight here attacking. And what you do here is now you want to coordinate this rook and make the castling move not a defensive move but an aggressive move. You want to activate this rook and make it work together with the bishop on f7. So you play pawn to f4. And of course this cannot be taken. You just capture the knight. This pawn has a job here. It's defending the knight. So it's not exactly clear how black is going to try to defend. Let's first look at knight back to c6, defending here. Now it's time to sacrifice the bishop. So you just pick up your bishop, take on f7. That's check. They recapture. And they recapture, and you play pawn takes pawn. This, you have given up a bishop, but now this rook is attacking this this knight here, and knight can't move because you lose the king, and they think it's no problem. I capture here with their knight. They're thinking, okay, you gave up a bishop. My king is a little bit exposed, but I have two knights developed, and what are you going to do? I control a lot of squares, and what you are going to say is no, you don't control a lot of squares because all your pieces are in fact pinned, and queen to d5 is check. It cannot be captured by the knight because it's pinned to the king, and there is basically no move here. You can't get close to the knight, and you know, no matter what they do, you just come in and capture the knight. Now you have equal material, but they have, so you have the same amount of pieces as they have, but the quality of your pieces is of course absolutely vastly superior. The king could be on this square, or it could be on this square, yeah, this square. It doesn't matter that much. You have a just raging attack, and they have no attack at all. They have no counterplay at all. Okay, let's take another way that black could try to defend this. So you still open e4, they reply e5. That's how you can get to do all this fun stuff. And of course the important bishop move, attacking here. And this is still when they play bishop c5 in response, and you play pawn to d5, pawn to d4. Now we looked at some different things. I'll just show you, there are so many. If they play bishop d6, you can use what you have already learned to figure this out. You can either pause the video and try for yourself, or I can just show you. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. You just takes, and can you guess it? Bishop takes f7, check. King takes, queen check, defend. You pick up the bishop. So black lost 2 pawns and a bishop, and you lost a bishop and a pawn. So you are a little bit ahead, but more importantly, black's king is horrible, and you have some center control with your pawn, and your queen is already really good. We have to defend for black something like, because the rook here is being attacked, and so it's already a huge advantage for white. Okay, so let's get into some of the more fun stuff that is less simple but will be more satisfying to throw at your opponent, because we are not done. There are so many more traps here. Let's go. So let's take another approach. Still go pawn to e4, e5. The repetition is good for you. It will help you remember this. Bishop c4, bishop c5. This is still what we are looking at. d4. This, by the way, is called the Urusov Gambit. It's because we are playing a lot of gambits before we get into the main opening of the video, the Max Lange attack. But I wanted to put as many devious tricks in the video for you as possible, as many ways to win fast as possible. And that is why I'm showing all these gambits first here. So the gambit here where you sacrifice this pawn is the Lewis gambit. Bishop takes. Knight f3 attacking the bishop. Knight c6 defending the bishop. You just capture the bishop. They recapture with their knight, thinking all is well. And you castle. Okay, so you're not sacrificing this yet. You play a waiting move. Okay, because you're saying to them, now, what do you want to do? Of course, they want to develop their pieces. They want to be active. This knight has nothing. It isn't attacking anything. And the most natural move, and what the database says is absolutely the most played move in this position, is knight to f6. It makes room for castling. It develops a piece. It attacks this square. It's just a very solid move. And here you play f4. So you are still looking at f7 here. And if you imagine that you are able to exchange this pawn, come and capture here, this rook all of a sudden is looking at here, together with the bishop, many, many, many interesting options there. So what can black do in this position? So the first variation I will show you is if they defend the pawn with pawn to d6. Okay, so you want to clear the way for this rook. So what you do is you capture, and of course they recapture. That's the whole reason why they did it. And now simple move, bishop g5. And here you have done nothing really spectacular, right? You have this position and you didn't sacrifice a thing. Black played all natural moves. You played your moves with a certain purpose, and if black went wrong at any point, you had all these bishop takes f7, check, sacrifices, all these good ideas. And if black manages to get to this position and say, okay, I'm probably good now after bishop g5, I can probably castle, right? The problem is that after you play bishop g5, black doesn't really have any particularly good moves. Let's say they castle. Well, the problem is, like they castle to the king side, problem is you just capture here, and they can't come in and capture with the queen, right? Why? Because you lose the queen. So in this position, they will have to capture with the pawn. And this is a gambit line. You have sacrificed a pawn, but imagine having to defend this king very quickly. Queen can also come here. The rook is looking here. Okay, so it's not a nice idea for black to castle to the king side. It will basically just give them a very exposed king and a very easy attacking game for you. Then what are they going to do? Okay, let's say they want to castle to the queen side. Well, there are two pieces in the way. One of them is the queen. And if the queen goes anywhere where it isn't protecting this knight, let's say here, now you just win the pawn because you capture here. And of course this rook coordinating with the bishop here extremely strong. So you have to look after the knight all the time with black. In a lot of positions here, you also threaten simply just playing c3. It's black to move, so we don't know exactly what black are going to do here. So maybe if they try something like this, just to kick the bishop away, you just capture the knight. It's fine, no problem. You can capture with the queen. So it has to double the pawns. Very happy with that. So they can't get rid of the bishop. They can't move the queen away from the defense of the knight. It has to be here or here. Only moves. They'll go something. Maybe they'll do this. They have here. They don't have that many moves, let's say, for instance, c5, let's say, they try that. Now they have this problem that you may be threatening to win the pawn here outright. So, and now you have the tension between the queens. You can capture the queen, let's check, and they can either capture with the knight or with the king. And now the queen is no longer defending here, so you just capture, capture, capture. You have this awesome rook. You are attacking here. You're attacking also with the bishop, and their position is falling apart. And that's just, you know, it just shows. I'm not going to be able to show all the variations here, but basically, if you get to this position where you play bishop g5, you're just very, very happy. You have all kinds of attacks. Black's king is trapped in the center. This knight can be subject to attack anytime you want. You have tension between the queens. All your pieces are good. Black's pieces are like the knight is good and that's it. This piece is bad. This is not doing anything. This is not doing anything. The best move is to play bishop e6 here for black, and then if you get there, you can take it from there. And if you have questions about this situation, if you get it in your games, post them in the comments, and maybe I'll make a follow-up video. Now let's do more devious tricks. Okay, so you have probably been wondering this whole time, e4, e5, bishop c4, what if black doesn't play bishop c5? What if they play the very, very natural move that you will see in many, many games? I think 33% of the games in the database, they have knight c6. They're going to do a bit of chess magic here. I'm going to do something we call transposition. So now we go for an opening called the Italian game, but we are cheating. We are cheating black. We're not like cheating in chess. Actually, never ever do that. But no, we are tricking. Should I say we're tricking black? So now, after we play knight f3 here, what are they going to do? And we will look at knight f6 because that is the second move. But the most played move in this position is bishop c5, and this is an opening called the Italian game. They play it at, you know, even Magnus Carlsen plays this sometimes. A very, very standard opening. It has been with us in chess for more than 400 years, 500 years. And we are not ready to play d4. d4 is the move that we always want to play, but we want to play it at the right moment. So here we castle, the kind of waiting move. Just saying, okay, what do you want to play? And like the number one move, most played, and also the best move, is knight to f6. And can you see what we can do now? Now we play d4. So they think they're going to play a normal Italian game. We're saying no. Now we go into the Max Lange attack. And you can see that in this position, if they play bishop takes d4, we play knight takes d4. And what's happening here? Knight takes d4, f4. What's happening here? This is what we call a transposition. You can go back in the video to the chapter called the Deutsch Gambit, or the Deutsch opening, and you can see like it actually gets to this exact position through a different move order, and we're just getting into the same position even if black is trying to get out of it. We are tricking them into getting into exactly the same position. Remember, we had this takes, and bishop g5, and we have the good position again. Okay, now let me show you some more tricks. If they don't take with the bishop, it can get even more hairy for black, even quicker. So let's repeat: e4, e5. We play the sneaky bishop move, bishop c4. Now we're looking at when they don't play the bishop out, they play the knight out instead. What do? We wait. We also play the knight out because now they have to play a move. We will look at knight f6 later, but the most popular move, bishop c5, going into the Italian game. We can't play d4 yet, so we castle, and they play knight f6, the most natural and most played move, and we have d4. This is where we were before, and I know I'm repeating a lot, but it will help you, it will help you actually memorize and learn this opening. Now, if they don't capture with the bishop, we saw that we could get a very good position by transposition if they captured with the bishop, but if they capture with the knight, it's even better for us. The knight had a job. On this square it was protecting e5. Now here it is not protecting e5. So you come in and you capture e5 with the knight. You then sneakily turn the knight, looking at f7. What is this about? Well, you can come in either with bishop takes. It's not your move right now, but this is your threat. You can come in here, check. Or you're also threatening to come in with the knight, saying I will either capture the rook or I will capture the queen, and you have nowhere, to go. You can capture it because I'm defended. And this is so nice because what's going on here? So now black will say, well, that doesn't work. I, of course, just castle. I want to castle anyway. I have a nice position, many pieces developed. And I want to castle anyway, and now the rook is protecting here. And here you just have a winning move. So there are so many variations in this opening system where you just win right away. The winning move here, maybe you can find it. Pause the video. 3, 2, 1. Winning move, bishop e3. And it looks like, very natural move. How is this winning? Well, if it's your time, it's your go-to move again, you just capture the knight. They capture with the bishop. You capture with the queen. You win a piece. Okay. So they have to do something about that. What piece could they maybe try to defend the knight with? And there is no piece. You can't put the queen here. That's illegal. There's no way to come and defend the knight one more time. And what people, like in the database, what they almost always do here is they say, it's no problem, I play knight back here. You can't capture the knight now, and the knight is defending the bishop now. So if takes, we can come and recapture. And here's just one thing you need to remember, one easy thing. What do? You just capture the knight first. It is now no longer defending the bishop. And if they capture your bishop, you capture their bishop. And this is the material count. You have simply won a knight. If they try to get cute or clever. So remember, if you remember that they go back here with the knight and you capture here. If they try to get cute and try to capture here first, you still have a very good position, because here you are moving like you have the advantage because it's your go-to move, and you can play bishop takes f7, and that is check. So here they have two moves, two legal moves. Basically they can either move the king, you capture the bishop, you're still piece up, or they can capture you here, and you capture here, and they don't have time to move the bishop because their queen is under attack. You're going to capture the queen. The only thing they could do is move here with check. That's not really a problem. Rook takes. Now they would have to play king takes, and you can already just play like the position is very, very, very good for white, obviously, but you can already just play e5, and the knight is pinned, so it can't move, because if it moves, you lose the rook. And yeah, so many ways to win in a very satisfying, very spectacular way. Let me show you some more. Okay, what if black has actually studied the opening a little bit, or what if they find the best move over the board? We want to be prepared against that as well, and we want to know all the devious tricks. We repeat, e4, e5, bishop c4. Now, they don't play this. We know all the things we can do against this. So we are looking against knight c6, knight f3, bishop c5, the Italian game. Here we castle, knight f6, and here they think they're going to play the Italian game that maybe they have studied, but we gambit the pawn right away. We have looked at bishop takes. We have looked at knight takes. We are not going, but what if black doesn't play any of those moves? What if they play the correct move? The correct move here is pawn takes. Before I explore that, I'll just explain one thing. You notice that we have gotten into this position many times. Sometimes we get into it through transposition, and you can also get to this position without playing bishop c4 first. For instance, you could play knight f3 before bishop c4, but of course we are playing to get the most amount of tricks possible, so we play it in this way. But this position you have here, this exact position, is what is known as a tabia position. This is where the Max Lange or the Max Lange attack proper starts. Okay, so this is the tabia, I just want you to know, or the tabia, I just want you to know that word. Okay, what if they play pawn takes? This is the so-called main line of the opening. Well, let's just go all in and attack. Here we see the idea of the Max Lange attack. So he was actually called Mad Max, and it's about 200 years ago, 170 years ago, there was this guy called, they called him Mad Max, he was called Max Lange, and he had come up with this opening idea and found that if you play pawn to e5 here, like, you can get so many tricks in. And black can go wrong in so many ways. So, have to save the knight, right? Like 98% of your opponents, they're going to try to save the knight. The best thing for black to do here is not to try to save the knight, and I will also show you what you do against the best move here. But just let me show you all the splat variations first. So, of course, you can't go here, we just capture, okay? So we have to go somewhere. Okay, we start with knight e4. Okay, against knight e4, we notice something. We notice that this king has not yet castled. We notice that this knight is not protected. And we notice that there is a pawn right here that is actually making it impossible to really defend the knight. So we attack it with rook e1. And, you know, where do you want to go now? Can't go here, you'll be captured. Here you'll be captured. Here you'll be captured. Here you'll be captured. Here you'll be captured by the bishop. Here by the pawn. Here by the pawn. Okay. So only one thing that you can do is you can try to protect it with a pawn, either with this one, or we will look at this one. Both of these, they just go wrong, but they go wrong in kind of the same way. So I'll explain you this one, and you can sort of build on that if they do the other one. So here there is a move that you may not know about. Actually, it's called en passant. There's this, meme in chess, Google en passant, because many people don't know this rule. I have made a shorts video called The Weirdest Chess Rule, that it's linked in the description. You can check it out if you want to know all the details of this move. But basically, you can capture this pawn here en passant, like this. Okay? And now they have the same problem that they had before. The rook is attacking the knight. But now they can play pawn to f5, defending the knight, and there is no en passant. All should be good, right? No. We build up the attack. We play knight b to d2, also attacking the knight. And, I mean, we are going to capture, and capture with check. It's very close to impossible to actually defend the knight. Most people in this position, they play c takes. That's what I'm going to show you as a sort of a sample variation. and you just play knight takes. They have to recapture or they will be down a knight. And what's the problem? Well, the problem is rook takes, and that is check. They can block the check in different ways. You know, if they try this, you come in here and you just pile up the attack, it's going to collapse for black. And if they try this, you just push on, takes, takes, check. And like you could even capture the bishop, but just to show you the power of this this attack here, let's say like if they go here, then you're even going to win even faster with this. But let's say they try this, you're not actually going to capture the bishop. You're just going to win. It's like checkmate in 5-4 moves or something. Check, and you can't escape to the corner because of the bishop. There's only one legal move here, and here is like, oh, it's going to be like delicious for you if you get to do this in a game, and it happens quite frequently. You actually just exchange the queens. Paradoxically, since you are attacking, you usually don't want to do that, but you do want to do that if you have checkmate. Can you find checkmate? You could pause the video, or you can just let me show you in 3, 2, 1. Bishop 8, h6, and that is checkmate. Ah, delicious, delicious. Okay, so that's if they try to save the knight with knight e4. Surely one of the other ways. There must be a way to save the knight, right? Let's explore, because surprise, surprise, no, there is no way to save the knight. Okay, so what if they try to save the knight in some other way? We repeat, e4, e5, bishop c4, knight c6, knight f3, bishop c5, the Italian game, you castle, knight f6, and we play d4. That is the main move. This is the tabia position, and here we are looking at the main line. E takes d, and you push. And we saw that they can't put the knight here because rook traps the knight in various ways. And what if they put the knight instead on g5, on g4 I mean, and say hello to my little bishop friend. So we can, this is one of these positions where we can sacrifice the bishop. Basically, if you're playing the Max Lange, if you're playing like these gambits I'm showing you, almost on every move, if you are a little bit unsure, look, can I sacrifice the bishop with a check? And do I have a follow-up check or a follow-up knockout blow? In this position, bishop takes f7, that is check, king takes, and you have the follow-up check, knight here, that is check. No matter where the king goes, you just play queen takes, knight on g4. And it is, of course, worth remembering that bishop comes here, and king takes, knight here, check. It's worth remembering this queen can't come in and capture the knight, because say hello to my little other bishop friend, sniper bishop, protecting the knight. So yeah, you lose the knight. Okay, so is there another way that white can trap the knight? Is there another way that black can try to defend the knight? Let's take a look. Okay, so we are here in the main variation. We have just played pawn to e5, attacking the knight. We've seen this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. There's only one other square the knight can go to, which would be here. And we are still looking at f7. This time we don't come in with a check first, but we play knight g5, coordinating an attack with the bishop and the knight. We are looking here. Okay. How can we really defend it? Still can't capture the bishop. Bishop is defending. How can we stop this? You know, something like this doesn't work. We just come in, it's a fork against the rook and the queen. So the point of playing knight back to g8 here is you can play knight h6 defending. Okay? So black is just about getting out of this, and white did sacrifice a pawn, so maybe black is thinking they can stabilize, and if they can stabilize, they'll just be up a pawn and have a good game. Surprise, surprise, black is not going to stabilize. Here, play queen h5. So notice how rapid our development really is in this this opening. Now there's a big problem here on f7. Okay, we're going to come in with like captures, queen takes checkmate, something like that. But black may be thinking, it's fine because here I can castle. Everything is going to be all right. Do you think everything is going to be all right? No, of course not. Of course not. But how exactly do we break it down from here? Still going to sacrifice, but not the bishop this time. Now f7 is actually adequately defended. So we will mess black up in another way. Not going to sacrifice the bishop, going to sacrifice the knight. Knight takes h7. Now if they don't come in and capture it, you're just doing amazing. Like if they try to save the rook like this, you can like literally just go back, or you can come in with the, like it's like the only try to have any sort of game here for black is to capture. And the power of this bishop, almost all the time it's on f7, but not all the time. It's flexible. And it can also go here. Check. Right? Can't block like this because of course it's pinned. So let's say you can't block it like this also, because sniper bishop, you know, notice how many variations where this bishop is very relevant without having ever moved. One of the strengths of this opening. Just come in, capture here, check. Going to win this pretty easily. So this doesn't work, okay. They go back, they go here. And we just come in, take the knight. We don't want the defensive pieces there. There's only one move. Takes. And we take here. And now we are threatening checkmate. There's only one move really to stop checkmate. And the move here is f5 to block the bishop. It's protected by the rook. And here internet meme culture may become a problem for you, because it looks like en passant is forced, but that's what they say, right? Capture here, it's going to be checkmate, it's going to be very good. No, that's actually not the best move. You can play it, of course, if you want to be the meme king or the meme queen, of course. But if you just want to win very quickly, you just say, actually I didn't want to use the bishop on this diagonal. I wanted to use it on this diagonal, of course. And that's check. And like you could try, they could say, aha, I blocked the check like this. It's defended by the queen. But now you get to take en passant, actually, like so. And that's check. That's going to be checkmate. So that doesn't work. And the only other thing they can do, only other legal move, is rook here. Now you don't come in and capture the rook, because they could recapture. You don't want them to be able to recapture, of course. You just play queen here. Queen g6 check. Rook can't block, because the king will be lost, so king will have to go here. And now you capture full rook, and there's no way that they can recapture. And you have a winning game again. So that's all the squares the knight can go to. What if they find somehow, some way, the correct move, which is a counter-attacking move, instead of trying to save the knight? Let's take a look at that, because of course there are more tricks there. Okay, let's get to the Tabia position one more time. e4, e5, bishop c4, knight c6, knight f3, bishop c5, castles. Can you remember all of this? Knight f6, d4. push here. So the knight can't go here, 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 or here. I guess you could argue that we should look at this, but it still just takes, check, picks up the knight. So instead, the correct move for black here, which they may find if they're a strong player or if they're very lucky, is d5, counter-attacking the bishop. Do we have more tricks here? Of course we do. Of course we do. So we capture the knight. They have to capture the bishop, otherwise they will be down a piece. Now what? The king is exposed. Rook e1. We've seen this move before. This is check. So this time there is, only one move, which is bishop e6, because we have all the other squares under control. It's going to be like a big problem. So if the king doesn't want to move, which is losing very fast with check here, bishop e6, and it is like 80-90% of the games in the database has bishop e6 here. We play a very sneaky move here. Knight to g5, attacking the bishop. And this is so sneaky. This is what is known as the Max Lange trick, or the Max Lange trick, or the Max Lange trick, that he came up with like 170 years ago. Because here it looks like we're just giving black everything they want, because they have the problem of this pawn, they have the problem of this bishop being attacked once and twice and only defended once. So we can capture, 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 check, and also there's the problem of the knight. So what is black going to play in almost all instances? Queen takes f6, and here the problem is, so they think, okay, we are defending here once, twice, once, twice. We got rid of the pawn and we are defending it sufficiently. No, because this guy, can you remember in one of the early variations where we could win this guy with a queen check, sacrifice something here, have a queen check, and pick up this guy? We have the same pattern here, which is also one of the reasons that I want you to play this with e4 bishop out first, to learn all these patterns, okay? So here you play knight takes. They're not going to capture with the queen first, because they lose the queen to the rook, so they capture like this. And can you find the winning move? Queen to h5, that is check to His Majesty. No matter how they block it, doesn't matter. g6, you just pick up the bishop, and yeah, you have won a bishop for 2 pawns, but the position is always like you are up material. You have won the bishop for 2 pawns, but also black's position is just like this. Look at this. Looks like my grandma's teeth. Like it makes no sense. This position where you have safe king, active rook, active queen, active bishop can come in at a moment's notice on this important diagonal. So you're just way ahead here, and you're going to win. Okay, let's explore some other second move options for white, because maybe you have been wondering. e4, e5, bishop c4. What if they don't play this bishop move and they don't play this knight move? What if instead they play this knight move? Here we are, of course, as always, going to be very tricky. The move order is a little different here. We start by playing d4. We want to get this in immediately. Now the only move that makes any kind of sense here is to capture it, because you can see there could be problems like you try this, and the problem is takes, and you have seen this before, check, king takes, and queen takes. Okay, so we've seen variations on that theme many times. So of course they go ahead and capture that pawn instead. We are not going to push this here. We are not going to capture here. We are just going to play knight f3. We will get this pawn in due time. Don't worry, we don't have to rush. There are many variations here. You basically have a good position. But let me show you, for instance, this one here. So you play knight takes. So they think it's a hanging pawn, and you say, okay, now I'm going to capture queen takes d4. And if they play knight back to f6, we have entered something called the Urusov Gambit by transposition. We got into the Urusov Gambit here, and if you get this in your games, or if you want me to make a video about it, let me know in the comments. I'll show another variation that we see very, very often, which is knight to d6, where the idea is to get rid of this pesky bishop. We're not trying to save the bishop, we just castle. Why? Because when they capture the bishop, knight takes bishop, we don't recapture the knight, we just sacrifice the bishop and we play rook to e1, and that is check. And if they try to interpose the knight, we just capture it, no problem. Only move that makes any sense is bishop here. Of course, if queen, we just capture the queen. So here, and the problem is this queen is very strong on this diagonal, comes in and takes on g7. Why is that so important? Well, it is coming with the force of a sledgehammer. We are attacking the rook. If we capture here, it will be checkmate. The bishop is pinned and can't go back. So the only move in the position is rook to f8. And now we play bishop h6. And black is toast once again. So what is the threat? Let's say they play nonsense move. We actually just come in here with the queen and take, and that is checkmate. The bishop is pinned by the rook, can't come in and capture, and we're going to win this rook no matter what, even if they try to avoid checkmate by playing something like d5. We still come in and capture. The king would have to go here, and we are up a bunch of material. Basically, you're up a whole rook. You could, for instance, try to make it easy for yourself, just play queen takes and king takes, and then maybe you want to defend this pawn or play here or something against this. Let's actually say you're just being pretty boring and just play all the way back here just to show what we have achieved. So knight for knight, knight for knight, bishop for bishop, rook for rook, but rook for bishop, and of course we have 6 pawns to 6 pawns, so we are up an exchange, but our pawns, they are connected, where we have created these 2 weak pawn islands for black, and so we are up material, we have better pawn structure, and we have of course completely safe king that is castled, and black's king has not castled, and that's not a sophisticated way to try to win this. It's not even the best way, it's a very easy way to get a winning position that's easy to play, and you can study it further if you want to. Let's explore more options. Before I'll show you the last couple of really cool things here, I want to say thank you for watching this video. Thanks for having watched it for so long. If you are one of my regular viewers and you really appreciate this channel, please consider, supporting on Patreon if you can afford it, because I really want to make 2023 the year of ASMR chess. I have some killer ideas for some absolutely next level videos I want to do, and if you support me, I can do it. Okay, so that was my little try to become a professional YouTuber spot. Let's explore this opening some more. e4, e5, bishop c4. And we are in one of these variations where they play knight to c6, getting to the Tabia position. knight f3, but what if they don't play bishop c5 here? What if they play the other sensible move, knight f6? Well, then you don't have to make time for castle. You can just play pawn to d4 right away, because black's actually in a lot of trouble now. If they play knight takes, we actually just win right away. How? What is the move you're always looking for? What's that move? Bishop takes f7, check. King takes, knight, not capturing the knight, but capturing on e5 instead, because that is check. No matter where the king goes, you pick up the knight, like so. And you have a very, very comfortable position. You have won a pawn, and you have great development, control of the center, and of course, we have black has lost the right to castle, so the king will stay in the middle and be subject to a great attack. You will play moves like this, and castle is also something you want to do, and put the rook here, and yeah, you just have a very, very good game, a winning game probably. So if they don't play knight takes, what if instead they play this move here that I'm going to show you? e4, e5, bishop c4, knight c6, knight f3, and they are still playing knight f6, and you are still playing d4 here. But what if they don't play knight takes, but instead they play e takes? And the interesting thing here is that you are just completely happy with this. There are multiple openings you could go into here, but what do you want to do? You want to be in the comfort of the opening knowledge that you have gained in this video. So what do? You play castles. And this leaves black in a very interesting position that it's kind of fitting that we are going to end the video on this note here. What can black really do? So if you're playing against a beginner, they may play something like this. Knight takes e4, but you know, rook, as soon as the rook comes here, it's going to be a big, the king is in trouble. We've seen these themes many, many, many times in this opening. So if they have a bit of foresight, they're not going to play that. But if they're not going to play that, what are they going to play? If they want this bishop out and they play d6, this bishop is really bad now. Okay, you can't, it's never coming out. So what are you playing? If you play, like, they could maybe play the bishop here, but that's very unambitious, like just capture here. And like we did gambit a pawn, but we got it right away, and we got the speedy development for sacrificing the pawn, and we didn't even lose the pawn. So that doesn't seem to do anything. So the only sensible move is to play bishop c5 as the most popular move in the position. And what is this? This is the Tabia position. And what do you do here? You can go back to the Deutsch chapter on the video, but e5, and we are in the position again with all the tricks. Remember, knight can't go anywhere. Have to play this, and there's all the stuff I already taught you that you can go and watch again. So please go ahead, destroy your opponents. Come here in the comments, tell me how it went. Tell me if there's something you need clarified. Tell me if there are some positions or some moves that you see again and again and you want me to explain in a future video. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing, consider the Patreon, and thanks for being part of chess. Chess is really booming, and it's such a nice feeling for a good old chess nerd. Thanks for watching.